Welcome to Cardinal Perspectives, a series featuring in-depth conversations with alumni, students, faculty, staff, and the extended family and community of the Catholic University of America. My name is Robbie Champion, Senior Associate Director of Alumni Engagement at Catholic University. I'm pleased to introduce this episode of Cardinal Perspectives featuring Robyn De Wees, Chair of the Catholic University Black Alumni Network. After graduating from the Catholic University of America with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in 1987, Robyn began her career as a software engineer, eventually rising to the executive level at Northrop Grumman. With more than 30 years of experience in STEM fields, she has made significant professional and volunteer contributions. A driven and accomplished leader, Robyn has earned several prestigious awards, including the Black Engineer of the Year Award for Corporate Promotion of Education, the Women of Color Award for Exceptional Women of Color in Technology, the University of Maryland Baltimore County Center for Women in Technology Exemplary Industry Mentor Award, and First Baptist Church of Glenarden Star Ministry Volunteer of the Year. Her commitment to mentoring and volunteerism has been a key aspect of her impactful career. Robyn is the founder of O-Line Coaching and Consulting, where she specializes in helping individuals and organizations develop leadership capacity. Through her work, she fosters diversity and inclusion by encouraging her clients to think differently, achieve transformative outcomes, and create lasting economic impact. She has built her coaching practice on a deep passion for mentoring, supported by the International Coaching Federation's Associate Certified Coach Certification and Leadership That Works India Professional Coach Certification. Robyn is the inaugural chair of the Black Alumni Network at Catholic University. She is married to Gerald Witcher, a fellow Cardinal who graduated with a degree in electrical engineering. They live in Bowie, Maryland. This conversation is facilitated by Brian Kohler, Assistant Vice President for Alumni Engagement and Annual Giving at Catholic University. Let's get started.
All right, so here we are. All right, for our Cardinal Perspectives opportunity and conversation here. My name is Brian Kohler. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Alumni Engagement and Annual Giving here at Catholic U, a proud member of the class of '01, and I'm joined today by, with Robyn De Wees, an engineering degree recipient from the class of 1987. Robyn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to be here. This sounds like it's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a great conversation. Absolutely. So, Robyn, could you just, for our listeners, just kind of tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. I spent about 35 years working in the aerospace and defense industry, mostly locally here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I had a very successful career. I started out as a software engineer and worked my way up to an executive role. I spent most of those 35 years at Northrop Grumman. After I retired, and I retired early, I knew I wanted to mentor and or coach people, help them with leadership skills and leadership development.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I became certified. I'm an International Coach Federation certified coach, and I started my own business called Aligned Coaching and Consulting. That'll come into play later on, maybe based on some of what we've talked about, Brian. And I'm the founder of that organization, and I coach a lot of early career people, helping them to prepare themselves for the workplace and to understand themselves better as they strive for their leadership objectives. The other thing that I do that's almost a full-time job is I am the inaugural chair of the Black Alumni Network here at Catholic University.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's an impressive background, especially when it comes to your mentoring and your leadership. You know, one of the things that we certainly want to do here at Catholic U is help all of our students launch themselves and provide mentorships, not just when they're students here, but also in their experiences as alums as well. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're
That's
welcome.
quite the contribution. So, all right, I always kick it off when I'm talking to my fellow alums with, what's your favorite CUA memory?
So I'm going to share two. The first one I'm obligated to share, but it's actually true. I met my husband here. He graduated from Catholic University as an engineering major a few years before I did. So so that is one of my most memorable events, is meeting him. Now there's controversy with that too,
Oh, boy.
because we do not agree on how we met. or where we met. And we've enlisted friends and family, and most people won't chime in. So today we've been married for almost 35 years, and we have not resolved it yet.
God bless you. That's fantastic. I love that. That's awesome. My wife and I also met here, and we also kind of go back and forth on when did we actually meet. She said, because she was a year behind me, she says that she actually saw me and met me before we officially met. But that's
Similar
a story of another
story.
day. Similar
Similar
story. There you go.
story.
So many of us have similar stories. But you said there were some other memories you wanted to share.
There is a memory. One of my the most memorable times I had here at Catholic University was playing intramural flag football. It created a passion in me that exists to this day. And I was invited to participate on a dorm team. Now, I didn't live on campus.
Okay.
So I was a commuter.
Okay.
And that meant that I had a bit of a different experience than a lot of people. So it was nice to be included, to be invited to play flag football. And we won every year we played.
Congratulations.
And yeah. And it taught me a lot about the game. So some of my best memories are playing flag football here at Catholic U.
That's fantastic. And I love the fact that as a commuter student, you also found a way to get involved.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to really having an enriching experience here at Catholic, or really at any college, it's about involvement. So that's really key. May I ask what position you played?
I played the offensive line when I was here
Okay.
at Catholic, and occasionally the defensive line. So primarily the line. I'm not fast, and I don't like to run a lot. So give me short distances and a little bit of physicality, and I'm good to go.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's awesome. So, Robyn, as you reflect on your experiences as a student and also your very impressive career, can you describe for me how your experiences here at Catholic, either as a student or on the intramural flag football team, or just in your experiences with your classmates, how did Catholic U prepare you for your life, both personally and professionally?
Very quickly, professionally, the engineering school provided a rock solid foundation for me in engineering and the way engineers think. Like I said, I started out as a software engineer and made it to an executive level at a Fortune 500 company. And I owe a lot of that to Catholic University. I'll use football as another example. When we talked about inclusion, there's both belonging and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. I felt like I belonged because I was invited to the team. But there was a little bit of controversy. There were some women on the team at a certain point that felt because I wasn't part of their dormitory, I shouldn't be getting as much playing time, or I shouldn't be starting.
Wow.
And so they said that to the person who invited me, and she had a conversation. She's one of my dearest friends to this day, Maureen Favo. And she said, look, the women would like more playing time, so I'm going to pull you to the side. And I said, okay. Honestly, in the moment, it felt some kind of way. Was it because I wasn't part of the dorm and I wasn't really included? Because I really felt included when I was invited and I was playing and getting to know other players. Was it because of my race? Was it I was too physical? Was there something that I was doing, right?
Yep.
It began to cause me to question things. So there's this subtle difference between belonging and inclusion that sometimes, particularly if you're part of an underrepresented group,
Mm-hmm.
begins to cause you to question yourself. And so you're not showing up fully because you're trying to fit in, or you're trying to understand where you have opportunities to improvement, or at least that's the way I felt. Eventually, I got back to my playing time and was a little bit more accepted by the team, I felt. But that's foundational because those are some of the experiences I also had in the professional workplace where I had a degree,
Really?
I had experience, and sometimes I questioned whether I really was included, whether or not I was really part of the team.
Wow. Okay. And it's what I loved about that is the fact that it took others to to really help you feel belong. Shout out to Maureen,
Exactly.
to help you out. And that's really when it comes to belonging, when it comes to inclusion, every student needs someone else. Right, and so so to that end, let's talk a little bit about your work in the Black Alumni Network. Because now here you are as a professional, you're chair of the Black Alumni Network, and you're looking to to build belonging and build a sense of inclusion for all of our students. So could you talk a little bit about the Black Alumni Network, its mission, its purpose, and what you love about it?
Sure thing. I think the Black Alumni Network is about community building. It's about inclusion. It's about connecting with people. It's about finding your group. You don't have to be a Black alumni, but if there's interest around those things related to Black alumni, Black students, then this is an opportunity for you to get involved. As I think about my experience here at Catholic University, one of the areas and ways that I grew was I met people from different cultures. This had a huge impact on my life with my exposure to the broader world, to international types of initiatives, to being comfortable in international settings. I played a lot of intramural sports. I used to play volleyball with the Arabic students and the Latin students.
Really?
And they all spoke their native languages, and somehow on the volleyball court, I seemed to understand. And I was the only female too. And so there was a real sense that they wanted me there, that I was welcomed. And so there's a big difference when you feel included in activities and events. So Catholic University provided opportunities like that to connect with and meet with people from diverse backgrounds, and it really helped me to grow as a human being, and those skills also came into play in the workplace. When I was approached about the Black Alumni Network Board, even before being asked to be the chairperson, I used a coaching technique on myself because I said, what's my why in this? And there's a technique called expanding the view. And I looked at participating from my perspective, but also from the perspective of a student who's currently here that maybe looks like me or is in engineering. I looked at it from the perspective of my husband. I looked at it from the perspective of the dog. I mean, I really tried to look at it from different obscure perspectives and write down what I could bring to the table to help this network go forward. And in the end, I said, there are a lot of reasons. My background has afforded me opportunities to be involved in startups. And that's really the way I see this, is like a startup business.
I would agree.
You want it to be solid. You don't want it to be something that is flailing. After a year or two, it's gone. How do we build a structure that is strong? And even if we're going in wrong directions, we can course correct. But how do we build something that can grow within Catholic University's community? And that's the reason that I joined. So we're focused on connection, we're focused on community, we're focused on faith. I love the fact that this university is a religious university, and we don't have to be apologetic about prayer, about bringing God into the conversation. And I think that's so very much needed now.
I completely agree, and one of the things that I'm listening to you talk about is your why and expanding the perspective. That's a really interesting thing, and it reminds me of actually the teaching of Saint Francis of Assisi, because Saint Francis I always taught that you want to seek to understand,
Yes.
before being understood, and when you expand your view and you look at things from different people's perspective, you gain a deeper understanding, and therefore a deeper connection, which is what our band, the Black Alumni Network, is all about, and then you're a stronger community.
Yes.
And that's at Catholic U. That's what we are. We're stronger when we understand each other. We're stronger when we expand our view, and we're stronger when we have groups like the Black Alumni Network. So thank you so much for your leadership there with that.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. So could we unpack the programs a little bit, because you talked about connection and some of those mission points. What are some of the programming that opportunities and actionable items that the Black Alumni Network really take on?
Sister Thea Bowman graduation celebration was the first
absolutely.
event we were involved in, and we partnered with university staff and faculty, and we came together last year and this year to recognize students who exhibited the characteristics of Sister Thea Bowman. And so this year it was a nomination process so that people could nominate graduating students based on what criteria they felt these students met that aligned with Sister Thea Bowman. The students who were honored get a kente cloth, and we see this as not just an event, but it's a rite of passage. Part of what we want to do is we want
Love
to
that.
get the students before they're gone, to let them know things aren't changing. This is still your university. You are still needed. There are students who are coming in this new freshman class that you're probably more closely coupled with than any of us. I'm slightly older, and
Me too, just slightly older than than these kids.
that you can connect to. The memory is still fresh of what it's like for you coming in. So we want to get them before they go into the world and think, it's, let me just go ahead and move on. The university doesn't care about me. That's absolutely not true. The university cares. The Black Alumni Network cares. The Alumni Association cares. We want these students to stick around, and whatever little bit of time you have to contribute is appreciated. It doesn't have to be hours. It can be show up at an event. It can be write a note of encouragement to someone. Something very simple. That's one of the events. We also had during Cardinal Weekend the Aubrey LaBeouf Scholarship reception and Black Alumni Network's reception. It was this year was combined for the first time.
Okay.
Where and most people aren't aware that Aubrey and LaBeouf are two people who attended Catholic University. They worked at the university, and they were also given honorary degrees about 2 years ago. And there's a scholarship in their name that is
Absolutely.
geared towards students. And so a lot of people just aren't aware of who they are, what they contributed, their impact. And so for the first time, the Black Alumni Network actually managed that event. And I'll tell you, Brian, and this is where I kind of broke down at the event when I was speaking, because a number of people said to me, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for a network of Black alumni to come together to have events that highlight some of the accomplishments that we've made, or are here to help students to see that there are Black alumni who have had just amazing levels of success. Not that it's not talked about, but sometimes you miss it in the mix
sure.
of communication.
In today's world, so many things are coming at us.
Absolutely.
It's important to take a pause and pay attention to certain things that are really important.
And we give our time and our money to those things that are important to us.
Yes.
Sometimes those things that we see that look like us, or things that we purchase, or things that you say, oh, I remember that experience. So it was the first time for some, they felt coming together gave them that opportunity. And to just hear people say that to me as I walked around the room to introduce myself, it was the first time people had come back to campus. They were waiting to see how they could get involved, and
wonderful.
it just and it truly moved me to tears. I was full of emotion, full of joy, and the questions, maybe
imagine.
the doubt of am I doing the right thing? Am I making a difference? To hear that without soliciting that kind of feedback was key to me.
That's a beautiful moment, because I've been in Catholic education for well over 25 years, and you have to hang on to those moments, because you do oftentimes question, particularly in volunteering opportunities,
Yes.
And leadership opportunities. You do question, am I doing the right thing? Am I having an impact? But I think in both of those occasions, with the Sister Thea Bowman celebration and the Aubrey LaBeouf celebration, I think you're really seeing the fruits of your labor. So I really applaud you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And it's truly a joy. I mean, it definitely honors one of my personal core values is community and family. And when that comes together, I mean, it's 100% fulfillment. It's 100% of you are in the right place. And I'll add one other thing that we're doing is mentoring. I heard
Excellent.
President Kilpatrick talk about mentoring in various communications, both written and verbally. Dr. Brown at the engineering school has talked about mentoring. This is my heart and my passion. And when we started BAN, I said, we will have a mentoring program. And people came back later and said, we didn't think this was going to work out. It's very difficult to do. But I was determined if we did nothing, but we needed to touch the students. This would be a way to do it. And so we set up a mentoring program through the National Society of Black Engineers, the student chapter here at CU.
Wonderful.
Engineering school does a great job with engineering. We don't need to worry about that, but it's the softer skills. Helping the students prepare their resumes, prepare for the interviews, having an elevator speech, how to follow up after going to a career fair. We constructed sessions to talk practicums, to talk with students about these skills, and connected them with a mentor right after the practicum session. And
Wonderful.
also we set up another mentoring program. We called it Spread Your Wings, which was for anyone. That's a longer term mentoring program where we match students and mentors one-on-one. It ended up being mostly for the semester, the second semester. And we've gotten feedback from that. We did an end of year survey. Part of being an engineer is I'm very process oriented. There are a lot of statistics and tracking that we're doing, but the survey came back and said, things like, I can't believe how well I was matched with my mentee. It's like we're the same
That's
person.
so essential. Matching is really key.
Absolutely. And the beauty of both of these programs is you don't have to be here.
Yes,
You can
in
do
our world
these
today,
virtually.
do it virtually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're reaching back to alumni who are all across the country. Again, very diverse group of alumni who have stepped up to say, we'll mentor a student, especially with the NSBE program, because they only have to commit to one session. You can do all of them, or you can do some of them, but you can show up for one session. The minimum is 1 hour, and
that's it.
yeah, and that's it.
And they're going to have a direct impact,
Absolutely.
on a fellow Cardinal. So,
Yeah.
so that's fantastic.
I could use up the entire hour with the stories that have already come from just this first year.
Oh, really?
Those mentoring programs, yeah.
That's awesome, and it's really impressive to see. As I come back to the university in this new role, and I agree with Dr. Kilpatrick and the board, and your vision as well of building out these mentorship programs. I think it's so essential. I think back to when I was a 22-year-old, politics major here at Catholic, and not sure where to go, and I really could have benefited from
Yeah.
that. For that opportunity. So the fact that you're leading the way and giving back is huge. And so as you talk about so many different alums getting connected, for all of our listeners out there who are looking to get connected, could you talk a little bit about how they get connected with you in the Black Alumni Network?
There are a couple of ways. One is they can go through you, Brian.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think we should put a
100%.
plug around the advertising
Thank
for
you
this
for doing
with your
that.
email address. There's a Black Alumni Network email address that's monitored. They can also email me at deweesr@cua.edu, and just let us know what you're interested in. There, you can be on a committee. You can be one of these 1 hour mentors. You can support an upcoming event. If you have an interest, if you have any part of your heart or your mind says, I'd like to do something, we'll figure it out. If it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, we'll figure out how you can contribute to the organization. We're also on social media, so I hope that with this communication, the social media addresses go out so that you can stay connected and see what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, for all of our listeners, definitely. Everyone should be following us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook for all of our older all of our older alums, because I know the younger guys are not on Facebook anymore. My kids, my kids tell me that. But definitely follow us. And I agreed. Connect to my office as well as we build this out. So that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing all that. So looking back, or we've done a lot of looking back. Let's look to the future. What are your, if you look to the future for the Black Alumni Network, what are your goals? What are your key objectives in our months and years ahead?
Absolutely. And I think you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think just bringing alumni in general back to any university requires a lot of work. I think that's challenging
100%. It
these
is.
days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's another factor on top of particularly Black alumni or underrepresented alumni who attended predominantly white universities. There's a little bit of a less desire to come back to the university. even though there are good experiences and bad experiences, finding ways and things that are of interest. Again, we'll put our time and money into those things
Agreed.
that we are interested in. So, this affinity group of the Black Alumni Network, if we're focusing on things like mentoring, and you want to mentor a Black student, we'll find a Black student for you to mentor.
Yep.
We'll help you with anything specific that helps to align you with someone or something unique that you think you can bring to the table. So, my goal is to bring more people back to the university, whether that's virtually or through support of a program or through financial contributions. Wherever your heart is, that's what we want to tap into. If alumni think about what it was like, and you said this yourself, it's true for all of us. If I had a mentor
Absolutely.
back in the day, or if I had someone that provided guidance, or if I had additional funding, I could have double majored, whatever, or gone to grad school, whatever it is. There is something out there that we're seeking or that hasn't existed, and so we're willing to look at, can we put it into place? We can't do everything. I've had people bring up ideas, and I've said, go research it. And so they have to do a little bit of work. And sometimes I don't get
Absolutely.
a follow-up phone call, but
And then that only means they've done the research and they realize, okay, it's a good idea, but we can't do it.
exactly. But then sometimes there are ideas that people have, and this should reflect the diversity of the university, the diversity of the alumni, the things that we are doing. That's how we get the best ideas in place.
I completely agree. And bringing alums back to the university, either physically or even virtually, is so essential. I mean, we've got tens of thousands of alums, almost 100,000 alums, spread across the globe, right? And you said it yourself in the very beginning. It's tough to get alums back, in a sense, not because they don't value their experience or they don't value the university. But let's face it, our lives are busy.
Yes.
But I think the opportunities that you're presenting folks with, particularly the mentoring, and virtually is a way to say, look, you as a CUA alum, you've had a great success, you love the university, and all we're asking for is 30 minutes, an hour
Right.
of your time to, hop onto a device, talk to a current student, share your stories, and then imagine the impact that those folks are having. Well, you don't have to imagine; you're doing it.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So
You're welcome.
So Robyn, I got to tell you, you've been incredibly inspirational.
Oh, well, thank you.
This conversation. I mean, really. So. And as we look beyond even the Black Alumni Network, there are so many alums out there who want to find different ways to get involved and want to maybe even form, additional affinity groups, whether it be from a demographic perspective or even industry-wide.
Sure.
Right? I mean, whether it's nursing or politics or engineering, psychology, social work, there are so many alums who want to find ways to build those networks. What sort of advice or guidance could you, offer to those alums who want to build out our networks?
I think if there isn't already something that exists, and I'll say this, I'm a big believer in, if it already exists, how can you help it, right? You don't necessarily need
Love
to
that.
reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
Black Alumni Network often does that as we look out to see what's out there. And sometimes it's worked out that we can align with another activity, and sometimes it hasn't. And then if it's important to us, we create our own space. I think for any other group that is interested in doing something, making sure you know your why, and then defining a North Star. For the Black Alumni Network, we sat down, the university gave us a board agreement, and we read through that. And there were a couple of specific things that were activities that were in there. And then it said, mentorship and fundraising and things like that. We want you to support the university, again, helping what already exists. And using the engineering skills that Catholic University taught me, I broke that down into requirements. What are the things that we're doing? And so I think for any other affinity group, write down what are the things that are most important to you so that those things can always be your North Star.
Love that.
When you're sitting down and looking at what do we want to do or why we're doing it, you have it written down, because it's easy to be all over the map, and then it becomes difficult because you're spread too thin, or you have so many things that are going on, it's tough to manage them. You always want to have a North Star that you're coming back to. So I think that's the first thing that I would suggest
Being
if you're
mission first,
interested.
finding your why, love it.
Yes,
Yep,
yeah.
completely agree.
Aligning with the university. The university has a great set of goals that
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kilpatrick has set up, and there are ways we can support. We put our little footprint or our little toe print into what the university is trying to achieve.
Love that. That is fantastic, and you're right. I mean, the university, has a great mission, by itself, and so I think if we, as alums, as we build out our networks, we can, we have to ask ourselves, what is our why, and how can we support the university?
Yes,
Because really, when you support the university, you're supporting the next generation of students.
absolutely.
Just like there were so many that supported us when we were students here. So that's fantastic. All right. Well, Robyn, any last minute comments you want to impart? You've talked about your favorite memories. You've talked about you've been such an inspirational person to talk with about your work with the Black Alumni Network. Any imparting words for our alumni community?
I would follow the Nike slogan and say, just do it. Find a way to get
Absolutely.
involved. If it doesn't exist, create it. It doesn't have to be big. Every little bit, each part makes up the body. And so you don't have to be everything. If you can just be one part, you're likely going to touch the lives of a student, of someone in the faculty or on the staff, another alumni. We need it. As alumni, we need support, and we need those systems in
100%.
place that, like you said, you feel encouraged going
absolutely.
forward. In today's environment, we all need that. So
We need that connection. Absolutely.
I'll leave it with who's waiting for you.
All right, that is literally a mic drop moment, my friend. I mean, really, so fantastic. Well, Robyn, thank you so much for the conversation. You're so wonderful. We will be sure to put your contact information out there, and also too for all of our alums within in the wide world. I will put my contact information out there as well. So.
Fantastic.
All right, so thank you so much, Robyn.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care.